Hello, everybody. Raquel Tillman with Tillman Insurance Advisor, where I am the CEO and Chief Advisor. And I am super excited to bring you some things here today for all you people who are sitting at home and you're plotting your exit and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm ready. I am so ready. This stay-at-home order has got you pumped up to start your own business. I have got somebody that you guys have got to hear today. So today with me is my friend and my client and somebody I respect in the entrepreneur world, Melissa Taylor, who is with RogerandMelissa.com. And what they do is they work exclusively with thought leaders and experts to increase their influence, their impact, and their income. And I know many of you are looking to do that. So today we're going to talk about starting your business, some good things and takeaways that you can come away with as you think about starting your business, because you guys know that at the agency, we really focus on providing insurance for startup organizations. But one of the things that I've learned is that you guys got to stay in business in order for me to help you with insurance. So with that, I'm bringing you people who will help you grow your business and stay in business. So with that, hi, Melissa.
Hi, thanks for having me this morning.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm super excited to have you today because I just want to talk to people about starting their business. And doing some of the research, I found that many people start their business either just to be their own boss or to pursue their passion, or, there's several other reasons, but those are kind of the top reasons why people start their business. Does that resonate with you, with the people that you've worked with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. One of the other things that we see a lot is people say, well, I've been doing this for friends and family for years, and they keep telling me I'm so great at it. I decided to have it as a business.
Exactly.
Like, ooh, that could be a little scary. But yeah, those are some of the big reasons that we see, especially right now, as people, like you said, they got ordered to go home. And so they have extra time on their hands and they don't want to go back maybe to what they were doing before. So now they're trying to figure out that exit strategy and figure out what that looks like.
Yeah, they like the freedom, and being, your own boss does give you some certain level of freedom. So what would you give, what advice would you give some people who are looking to be their own boss or pursue their passion? Like what would you tell them right now?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I'm going to tell them not to jump in with both feet. Because what a lot of people do is they get this idea, or people tell them they should do this or tell them they should do that. And so they go, okay. So they get their EIN and they do their LLC paperwork and they create a website and they get their Facebook page and they get the logo design and their business cards printed and they're like,
I'm in business.
And then nothing, crickets, right? Or they just get really disappointed because all those friends and family and coworkers that said, oh, you should do this as a business, you should do this as a business. Well, number one, they may not be willing to pay you when you start doing it as a business. And number two, when you run out of those people, if you don't have a plan, what are you going to do? So we run into a lot of people that do that. So I would say take a breath, back up, get a mentor, get somebody that's been there, done that, and plan it out. You got to have a revenue model. I'm not saying a business plan that's, 50,000 pages long. I'm just saying, how are you going to make money at this? How are you going to, what are you going to do? How are you going to market it? Like, stop, think.
Yeah, exactly. Stop, think, right? Because that's what's so important. I mean, just doing some basic research about who wants what you do. One of the basic principles that I learned in business is not necessarily knowing who your target market is, but what problem do you solve?
Right.
And who has that problem? Right? So are there different places or websites or things or books or anything that they can read to research? Like, where would you tell them to start to be able to see who solves the problem, who has a problem that I solve or I want to solve?
Well, yes, and yes, and yes. There are websites, there are courses, there are books, there is all this stuff. But we all know that book smarts is not the same as street smarts. And
Interesting.
so, yeah, you can listen to all the gurus, and you can listen, for digital marketing and funnel making and all this stuff, and still be dead broke and not get your business off the ground.
Yes, I've done that.
Yes, you need somebody who's been there, done that. You also need to make sure, back to your point about who your target market is and what you're offering and what problem do you solve. Find other people that solve the same problem, and then figure out how you can be unexpectedly different than them. Because if you can't be unexpectedly different than what's already out there, you're a commodity.
That's a good point.
So, yeah. So you have to figure out not only what problem do you solve, but how do you solve it in a unique way? And then that's what you market.
Now that I think is like the golden nugget that we've gotten in like the first, 5 minutes, honestly, especially, insurance. There are a lot of people that sell insurance, a lot of different companies that sells insurance, but you really do have to focus. I think early on someone talked to me about that, and especially doing insurance, they're like, well, listen, if you serve everybody, it's like going into the candy store and you're going to pick all the candies and put them up. And by the time you hit the door, you walk out with no candy, right? But if you focus, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get those Twix bars, and I'm going to get as many Twix bars in my hand as I can, then I'm a little more focused, and I will come out with more Twix bars than another. So that's a great point.
Exactly. And what a lot of people, when they first start a business, they just want to help I help everybody. I can help anybody. That's kind of like saying, I'm the most amazing person in the world, and no matter what your problem is, I can help you. Hello, that's like the most egotistical thing. You can't help everybody. Yes, everybody might need what you have, but not everybody wants it.
Right, exactly. So what I'm hearing is the planning comes before the marketing.
Yes, if you don't know what you're doing, then what do you market? You can't, it's that age-old saying, you can't hit a target that you can't see.
So with that, in the age of social media, and it makes it easy for you to get to those people whose problem you solve, how do you transition from the planning to the marketing, and where do you think social media comes into play? Because as I look out there, there are a lot of people, a lot of gurus, a lot of people hitting you on social media, whichever media you choose is the end all and be all to making money and get your business off the ground.
Yeah, which is what they want you to believe, because then they can sell you their $2,000 program to teach you how to do it.
Right.
Okay. So, so social media is let me back up. Speaking is the first form of social media. So face-to-face speaking is the first form of social media, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Go networking,
right.
Speak from a platform, speak from a stage, interview people. Like, that's the first form of social media that ever happened. What's happened with social media, it's very, very noisy. And although you can get to the target market that you want, you have to define it very narrowly to get to them. Right. And you have no control over the algorithms and all that other stuff. So, we actually recommend you do a very good job of what we call blended marketing, making sure that you have online marketing and offline marketing, and they connect in a way that's seamless and transitionless. And you actually end up getting people's emails and their contact information, and you have a personal relationship started with them. When somebody gives you their email, it's almost like they're giving you money, right? It's like the first deposit into the relationship with you. Yeah. And so once they give you that first deposit, now it's much easier for them to actually turn that deposit into cash. In other words, if you give me your email because I've given you some value, right? When I go to sell you something, you feel like you've already bought into me, right? With the email, so that it's much easier for me to get you to write that check.
So I think you said something that is so important that I don't want us to miss right now, because even with the agency, and as I've planned and I've grown my team and serving clients, one of the things that you mentioned is value. Yes. Giving value. So yes, most of the new businesses that are starting are business service or retail or construction. So it's not all about just an online presence. There are people who are giving products and services or restaurants and different things like that. But I think people need to understand what makes them different from others, as well as what value do you bring to the relationship. And if you have those two things clear, you're ahead of most people starting their business.
Absolutely. And the value, again, whatever value you're bringing to people has to, again, be unique. It has to be different.
Yes.
Even if you're a restaurant. Like if you're a restaurant, I always go back to like the Chinese restaurant, right? When you go to a Chinese restaurant, do you get overwhelmed by all the choices?
No.
I do.
I just do the same thing, but go ahead.
Just the same thing. Okay. But if you think about
it,
but think about like a Chinese restaurant or one of those like restaurants that has like, okay, we have Italian and Mexican and this and that.
Yes.
They do nothing really well.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
No, that is true. That is true.
Right. So even like a restaurant, the value, you know, if you go to a really expensive restaurant, they have like 4 things on the menu.
It's true.
There's like not a lot of choices.
Yeah.
But they are amazing
at what they offer.
Right. And so that's what you have to be. You don't want to be the local Chinese restaurant, you know, that delivers, you know, food for $5. You want to be like the Ruth Chris, who you pick out your own steak and it's like a gajillion dollars, you know,
that's right. No, that's a good point.
Yeah. So you have to just think about what are your offerings? What are you doing? What's the value that you bring? And then bring it.
And exactly, with excellence. And I think if people focus on that piece of it in starting their business, that will take them past 80% of the people who just go, hey, I'm really good at that. Yes. And then they just start. So want to circle back to what you said, for those people who even have, oh, you're really good at that, you should start a business. You should ask them, what makes it good?
What makes it good? What makes it unique? What makes it special? And what are people willing to pay for it? Because I'm an excellent scrapbooker, but who's going to pay me to teach them how to scrapbook? Right? It just does. It's just not necessarily needed.
That's right. Good point. Yeah. Good point. All right. So with that, I always end my discussions with my my friends on asking personal questions. So we're going to get into personal questions. So one is, how did you start your business?
Okay. So we've had an evolution. My husband and I actually worked together. We've worked together for years and years and years. We started at a completely different business. We were world champion dancers, choreographers, all that kind of stuff. But we've always had this mentality of helping people, mentoring people, even in the dance world. And so we owned our own business. We ran our own business. We did all our own marketing, all that stuff. It transformed into helping other people do the same thing, especially, and like I said, we work pretty much with thought leaders, experts, and that could be an insurance agent. It's just you're a thought leader. You want to do insurance different. You know, we work with a lot of speakers, that kind of thing. But we actually started because I was a mom. I wanted to be able to do something from home. Again, a lot of people said I was good at strategizing, good at helping them see how to make a plan. And so what I did was I took time and formulated that into what would that look like as a business? And who could I really, really help? And then about, 6-8 months later, we started the business. So we took some time to really develop what that looked like. And then we had a plan for scaling it before we kind of even really started. And we're going through another, it's funny because this COVID has really shifted a lot of people's businesses, and it has shifted ours to the next level of what we already had thought about doing. So we've made more money in the past 3 months than we've ever made in our business.
Interesting.
We had it planned out.
Exactly. Right. I mean, your business, you knew what your value was. And I know for a fact you stay in your lane. So stay in your lane. So if it's something that, someone comes to you with and you can't help, then you have a lot of referral partners that you work with and make sure they're there. But you're very big tips that you've given me and keeping me organized with me and my team. So I think you're awesome at strategy as well.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we work really hard to make sure that we help everyone. So like you said, if they're not in our lane, we connect with someone who is. And then we follow up with them and make sure that person followed up with them.
Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. So one of the other things you mentioned, you work with your husband. Our agency was started by my husband, and we worked together for about 6.5, 7 years in the agency. And as everyone normally says, oh my God, you work with your husband. There's no way I could work with my husband. And we were a good team. And I tell people, we actually were better at home because we worked so well in the office. So some of the lessons we learned about work translated into home. And I just think it made our marriage better, but that's just me personally. So I'm going to ask the question, how is it working with your husband? Especially you guys work from home where we had 2 separate offices.
Yeah, we do. We do work from home. It's really good because, again, we stay in our own lanes. Mm-hmm. I'm the primary mentor, strategist, and he's the tech guy, the support guy, the brains behind a lot of the stuff that has to actually happen. The guru, the tech guy and all the others. I don't know. He does so much. I can't even explain it.
He's the make it happen guy.
He's the make it happen guy, right? Like I'm the idea person, and he's the make it happen guy. And it works really well until I say, oh yeah, we can figure something like that out. And he's like, how are we going to figure that out?
I know.
It works pretty well. I think it really all boils down to respect, both ways.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And separation, separation of, okay, we're not at work now, so just separating that.
So important. I mean, we used to have a code, and we used to have a code, because sometimes I just wanted to talk about work as your wife. So I just wanted to complain as your wife about work and not as, not as your partner, right? Exactly. Well, they always try to fix it. But I want you to fix it as my husband, and that might just be rubbing my back right now. So I would just say, hey, I want to talk to you as your wife. And then whatever came after that, put him in the contacts. And we tried hard not to talk about work, but that's just not, because you just talk about work. But I would always preface, oh, I'm talking to you as my business partner, so as my business partner, I want to talk to you, right? So that was kind of how we could make sure we stayed in our space of, because I valued his opinion, and sometimes I just wanted him to run my back.
Yeah. But I think it's really important if a husband and wife or significant others really are thinking about doing a business together, that they have those conversations up front. Mm-hmm. Play a little bit of the what if game.
That's right.
So you understand if this type of thing comes up, how best should we deal with it? And you don't have to what if it to death, but just a few kind of guidelines so that you know how to navigate it. Because there's entire networks of people that, like support groups of partners that work together, because it is a different dynamic. And like you said, it does cross over. And you said that your work relationship probably helped your marriage, but it might have been the other way around. And you really kind of don't know.
That's right. No, that's a good point. Yeah, because they did feed off of each other from that perspective. But we knew, and I would say for someone starting their business, the advice I would give as part of your planning, plan who does what. Because the biggest argument we got in at work was not knowing who was in charge of what. And then it confused the employees. So who's in charge? You got two people in charge, but you can't be in charge of everything all the time. So we really did have to define, here's the role that you do, Raquel, here's the role that I do, and here's that gray area that we do together. So as part of the planning process, you really need to think about that in your what if scenarios.
Absolutely. I love that. And I'll goes it back to, before we were talking about how right now people are just deciding to start a business, right? And they're like, oh, wouldn't it be great to do a business together? And this could be with a spouse. It could be with a friend. It could be with a sister. It could be with a brother. It could be, all of those are close, intimate relationships that you need to protect. Mm-hmm. And I think that no matter what relationship you try to go into business together, all of what we just said needs to be pointed out, as well as, again, what we said before, which is stop, breathe, plan it out. Because we always say, if, a quick start is usually a quick fail. If you start really quickly without a good strategy and planning it out, you're just going to get to the failing part faster. That's it. So you kind of want to just take a minute and figure it out first. So you don't. Right. Get discouraged. Because usually what happens is when people have that quick fail, they give up. Whereas if they start and they have some successes first and then they have a failure, they persevere through.
And if they have a plan, they can go back to, well, what didn't work in my plan? If you didn't have a plan, then you just kind of are lost at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite is when somebody starts a business and they're all excited about it and they're telling people about, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And somebody says, well, what do you charge? And they say, oh, $3,000. There's like pull some number out of their hat. You know, I'm like, did you not already figure that out? Like, what? Like, did you not know what that was going to be? How much is your workbook? Oh, I don't know. My workbook's $24.95. Yeah, or whatever you want to pay. That's my favorite. Whatever you want to pay. Well, I want to pay $1. So are you good with that?
So that's definitely where the planning comes in from that perspective. See, I just knew it, Melissa. I knew we would just sit on this call and we would have a good conversation. And some of what we talked about, I wish I would have known early on joining Edward into the agency. But every year I go through some sort of planning. So even as you continue your business, as you grow, you need to go back to that planning and know what works, what doesn't work from that perspective. But
very important, very important. And look at what worked for your competitors and what didn't work for your competitors. Not that you want to model exactly after them, because again, you want to be unique and you want to be different. But why do something that failed for them? I mean, why, you know, so it's about research too. And I think research and we are at no loss for information in today's world. So there's no reason to not get your research done.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Melissa. Everybody, I know you enjoyed Melissa Taylor with rogerandmelissa.com. Please reach out to her there. I know if you're looking to start a business, you'll get a ton of information just from her website, joining her different networking groups where you can practice. So they're even doing some networking virtually, so you can get out. For those of you who maybe have an issue with getting to know people in person, you can practice online right now. So Melissa definitely has a lot of resources for you as you start. So go out and visit rogerandmelissa.com. And thank you, Melissa. And I appreciate you. All right.
Absolutely. One of the things, just really quick, since you did mention some of our resources, if you're thinking about an industry, we have industry specific groups meeting online to help mentor people that want to start like in those groups. So like if you're an insurance agent, you can go to the insurance group. So just helping people out as much as we can.
That's great. That's great. I knew it. Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Once again. Oh, I appreciate it. Raquel Tillman with Tillman Insurance Advisor. And if you guys need any help and discussions regarding insurance, regarding starting your business, just reach out to me. So thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks.